grapple with when they are here. Yes, some of them get tired of the books and they just cannot tell you, and yet they must read the books anyway. So we need to lift them in prayer. And then let's not forget. You remember me hinting on the fact that we had, I don't know, they were mingled in some way. They were restrained. Please connect with the new class teachers. Emotionally, I know we have that attachment. And I don't even want to pretend that I don't. I've seen them from day one, first time, and I'm like, these are my babies. Now, all of a sudden, it doesn't remain the same. But I want to encourage us. Please connect with the new class teachers. Yes, it is no harm you remaining friends with our old class teacher, but find it in your heart to also accommodate the new parents. Yes, and we also promise to take good care of the new babies in our care. Learning them, and believe you me, when I hold the microphone, if the passion I have, I love talking. So, in the interest of time, allow me to end my communication here. We have many members of staff. Some of them are still in class, but as they keep coming, I'll keep introducing them. Ladies and gentlemen, before I proceed, allow me to recognize the presence of our beloved head teacher, Canon David Balaga Senkungu. You're most welcome, sir. And let me make a few introductions here, and then we shall set the ball rolling. Before us, we have the Director of Studies, Lower School, Mrs. Sekamanya Florence. We have the Careers Master, Mr. Chibirako Samuel. We have the Director of Studies, Upper School, Mr. Kalumba Godfrey. We have the Director of Studies, Middle School, Miss Nabuwala Lisa. We have the Dean, Middle School, Madame Nabakoza Robina. We have Mr. Katumba Gonzaga, teacher of mathematics. We have the jolly Mr. Senfuka Ishmael, a teacher of physics. We have teacher Yvonne Kasumba, teacher of fine art, the Horde Fine Art Department. We have Mr. Chigongo John, a teacher of history and the furniture master too. We have Mr. Mudua Samuel, the head chemistry department. Yes, and you'll forgive me, there's a new colleague. He's called Mr. Matov Wilson. I promise you I won't forget your name. Chemistry, you're most welcome, Mr. Matovu. And so as the other colleagues keep coming, I'll surely let you know. And of course, I will not forget to introduce the class teachers so that you get to know them by face and you surely make that phone call. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. At this point in time, allow me to welcome the Dean Middle School, Miss Nabakoza Robina, to make her communication. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, our class leader, our dear chairperson PTA, our head teacher, Canon Senkungu David, the deputies, our chaplain, the director of studies, our subject teachers, our guests in your distinguished capacities. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Yes, I'm Nabakoza Robina, the Dean, Middle School, and I'm going to give the report from the academic office. On behalf of the academic office, I warmly welcome you to this meeting, and thank you so much for sparing your time to be with us here so that we can be able to interact and focus on the academic progress of our children. Thank you so much for
this
coming.
one. Give me that.
The objectives of this meeting are 5. 1, to give you feedback about the academic progress of our students throughout the year 2025, to jointly lay strategies for filling the gaps that we identified, to plan together as we look forward to their registration for end of cycle assessment, to set advanced preparations for their A-level in 2027, and to check on the discipline and social well-being of our children. We have 546 students in Senior 4 who are distributed in 6 streams. That is Stream A up to Stream G as projected on the screen. And each of these students offer 7 compulsory subjects and 2 optional subjects. So if a learner brings a report card at home with less than 9 subjects, then you should put a question mark, come to the office and find out, or ask the child why are the subjects only 7 or why are they less than 9. And at the end of the cycle, we shall have a transcript with a 9 subjects plus the project. That is about their subjects. Now we go into academics. The academic report for the year 2025. The year was mainly focused on teaching and learning for effective syllabus coverage and continuous assessments. Students demonstrated commitment to academic work throughout the year, with most of them showing steady progress across all the subjects. Overall performance by end of the year was good, with 35 students scoring an average of 80%. When I say average, when all the 9 subjects are put together, the average a learner gets. So on average for all the 9, we had 35 scoring above 80%. And the majority was scoring between 59 and 60%, which is grade C, and only 13 students scored below 50%, out of which 7 students did not meet the academic requirements for promotion, so they were advised to do a remedial in Senior 3. So I know whoever is here, your child made it to Senior 4, and we congratulate you upon the promotion. I have that table there to show in their end of year assessment, and it is per stream, the percentage pass for each stream. So we can look at stream A, stream B up to G, how many in each of those streams scored an average of 85 and above, which is an A. Then how many scored 70 to 84, which is a B, 60 to 69, which is a C, 40 to 59, which is a D, then 0 to 39, which is an E. Meaning those who have 0 to 39, they failed. They failed because an E is equivalent to an F in the old curriculum. So if your student comes with an E on the report card, it means they failed that subject. Then below that table, we have another table comparing the performance for the 3 terms. We have term 1, term 2, and term 3. In term 1, we had 1 student scoring an average grade score of an A, that is between 100 and 80. In term 2, we had 3 of them. In term 3, we also had 3. Then, when you look at that performance, there was an improvement each term. In term 1, we had 48 Bs. In term 2, we have 130. In term 3, 205. And then as we continue to look at the table, even the number of those who had grade E's went on decreasing up to the end of the year. Therefore, I can conclusively say that there was a remarkable improvement in the performance along the year. We had a model average score in end of term, which was a D. That most learners were scoring between 40 to 59. And we invited you parents of those learners who were in that category last year before we had a general meeting, and we kept inviting you until we registered an improvement. So that improvement was due to a joint effort between you parents and the teachers. And I still ask you parents to continue cooperating with the teachers such that we improve. We are going to do so many activities, so many tests and mocks, and if learners are not performing well, we shall call individual parents of those learners. Please don't get tired of coming. The good thing, we have informed you early, and as you're talking to the children, please encourage them to work hard such that you're not called here now and again. Then we have another table comparing the performance of girls and boys in their respective streams, as we can see in those tables. And when you compute the total percentage passes by grade A, grade B, and grade C, and also D in their respective streams, you shall see that girls have a slightly lower percentage pass compared to the boys. The boys are higher than the girls by 0.8. But generally, when you look at their performance, it's almost 50-50. If you have the top 10, you'll find there are 5 girls, 5 boys. 6 boys, 5 girls, something like that. So it is almost a balanced performance, and without bias, I can say girls can perform better if the challenges they have are corrected. So that is our performance for 2025. Achievements for the year 2025. We successfully registered all our learners with UNED, and that was partial registration, such that we can be able to submit their continuous assessment scores. And all the scores for term 1 and term 2 for continuous assessment were compiled and were submitted. Scores for term 3 we have not yet submitted because UNEB had not yet updated their app, and as soon as it is updated, we shall submit the scores. We already have those scores. Then we were able to teach our learners according to their syllabi. Therefore, we don't have any backlogs. Senior 4, we have begun in senior 4, and we expect to follow it up to date, God being our helper. Many of our learners are eager to learn. It is a great achievement, and they involve themselves in personal research work. I think that's why there has been an improvement in performance along the year. Then our learners have embraced the required skills. We have seen learners who are doing live streaming here, so they have skills of ICT computation, mathematics. They can collaborate very well in their groups. They can communicate, and they can think critically and come up with solutions. They have embraced right attitudes of empathy, love for self, response to authority, social responsibility, and many others. And they have gained right values, which is a great achievement. Then there is an improved performance, as we have seen. It is a great achievement that our learners are now performing well. Then we have some challenges. We had some challenges. One, bad peer influence and solidarity, whereby these learners in their groups are now behaving otherwise from what is expected of them. Some of them have been so lazy that they cannot research. They depend on one or two who can research, and they end up sharing what has been researched by one or two. Late coming in class and sluggishness. Our students are so sluggish that even when you tell them walk very fast, they will still walk very slowly. Parents, it's a big problem, and that's why we have a big problem of late coming and failure to accomplish their tasks on time. So it is a big challenge, so we need to jointly find a solution. Then there are still those who abuse their time of sleeping. They end up shouting the whole night, they sleep late, and this will make them to doze in the class. We still have those cases. Though they have reduced, but we still have those cases of learners who want to keep telling stories the whole night. Negligence of property and disrespect of school uniform is still there. A lot of lost and found property on the compound, sweaters are everywhere, books and etc. Then lack of attention to the core business by some learners as reflected in their performance. So when I say this, you need to look through your child's report and then you ask questions why. Then late reporting of some learners for the academic term. Even as I speak now, there are some candidates who have not yet reported back. This one has affected their assessment because you find an assessment done and these scores are supposed to be submitted to UNEP. So there is a way it brings disorganization and it will affect their final grade. So it's a big challenge. Then we have picking of learners for medical appointments during school days. Even as I speak now, there are parents who are picking children to go for medical appointments, for braces moreover. It would be very difficult to pick such things in the holidays. Then our learners, some of them are so reluctant that they don't even consult teachers and they don't participate in discussions. And then you have those who make noise. Even up to yesterday, there are those who are still making noise during prep time. We have rights such that there will be no excuse of a learner failing to perform well. So we have given them time to research, to revise, especially at night. Then as an academic office, we came up with the following resolutions, way forward. One, to reduce on the bad peer influence. We had groups where learners were too lazy that they could not even research and participate effectively in their discussions. We have learners who group up themselves and they want to smuggle their laptops to the extent of hiding them in the ceilings. Then later, hiding them in the ceilings. Then later in the night, they use them to capture themselves, their videos of funny things. We had learners who would even tell teachers, is it the first time you're seeing us failing? So to that extent. So we decided to break those clips by reskinning the learners so that they can refocus. And we are going to employ a positive pressure, a pressure that will give us results. From the report we have seen about their performance, these learners can perform. We know it has affected them psychologically and socially, but it is our support, the parents and the teachers, that will make them to go back to the right path. What we want now are the results. We have ever done it and it has ever worked for us. It is only last year and 2024 that we did not restream because of the COVID issues, and then the new curriculum was just enrolled and we were just learning what to do. And we have seen what it has done. So trust us, this will help us, just support us. It has not affected only the learners, but also the teachers. Our class teachers, subject teachers had attachments to these children, but it's like we are now new to them. So we need support to each other such that we can handle these children. What we want is the results. And two, it is also training them that in life you're not going to stay with only the people you know. Tomorrow they are going to change schools. How are they going to cope up with the new changes in A-level, in universities? It is part of life. So we are being real and we are applying the CBC curriculum. Another way forward, joint checking of students' notes by both teachers and parents. As a school, we tried our best last term to check the notes and to sign in the books. But there are some learners who are very, very tricky that they would dodge their books being signed to the extent that they would forge signatures, as you will hear from the discipline report. They would forge that the teacher has checked their signatures. So it's a challenge. Parents, when the child comes home or when they come for BB, kindly also check the notes of your child. Then we have tried to punish the offenders on extreme suspensions have been done, and we shall continue to do that. Creating more career talks, guidance and counseling to boost their academic performance. We have always done that and we are going to continue to do that. Encourage them to take the activities seriously and give it the attention it needs. It is our role, we are doing so, but you can also help us as we interact with your child. Then communication with the deputy head teachers in the holidays, because some of these children are still at home because of school fees. We even have others who are here and have not yet paid. We kindly request you to visit the deputy's office and have a payment plan. Some of us have brought children and you just dumped them without talking to anyone. We are not going to register these learners for their end of cycle unless they have paid, because this registration requires money. We have to pay for them. Each child not less than 300,000. And if the child has not paid for last year, imagine. And this year you just brought the child after you smuggled the child in the school. You tell the child, you know where the dormitory is? Yes. From here on, you disappear. We get stuck with the child, we don't know what to do. So we are going to disturb them. We shall not register them fully unless they have paid the school fees. It is what we are going to use to pay to your name. So kindly pay for them their school fees such that you don't disturb them. It even lowers their esteem that you're calling them out of class all the time. So kindly pay their school fees on time. Encourage and support the learners to uphold the values emphasized in the curriculum. Values for respect for humanity, hard work, integrity, creativity, and many others. As you talk to them, kindly let them be able to uphold those values to help them to improve on their academics, because there will be no disturbances of the discipline and so on. Expose these learners to fields of different careers. We have already sung this one. Our children don't know what happens outside here. They don't know the reality. All they know is the TikTok. You ask a child, have you ever seen groundnuts flowering? They say no. I've never seen a flower or a groundnut. They don't know even its color. So expose them as much as possible. That's why you find that schools in the villages where children go even to the garden, they go fishing, they go where they are going to pass highly, they are going to score A's, as ours who are kept indoors on TikTok are failing. So expose them such that they can be able to relate the knowledge they have acquired to real life situations, such that they can apply it. They will not apply it on paper when they don't know what is outside there. So expose our children as much as possible. Let them read newspapers, let them watch the news, they read articles, and etc. Take them to the villages. They stay there for a week. They get an experience. They will come and share in their groups, and they will be able to apply that experience to the scenarios given to them. Thorough medical checkup during the holidays is encouraged, such that we don't pick these children as soon as they are here. It will disorganize our assessment has no timetable, that we are now timetabling for activities. It is after every topic that we can assess, and we don't complete our topics at the same time. We are different subjects. So you cannot say that Friday is weekend, let me pick them, or Monday, and so on. So have thorough medical checkups in the holidays to avoid in and out of school. Talk about school fees. Please ensure that you pay your school fees in time and provide all the necessary support to our children. We have this is what I can do. So we have books, workbooks for practicals, biology, physics, and chemistry. Chemistry, that book runs for 2 years, from senior 3 to senior 4. Some learners were bought that book in senior 3, but as I talk now, there are those who don't have it. And it is so inconveniencing that when others are doing a practical, they have to request from their friends, let me also first copy the scenario. Scenarios are too long, we cannot keep writing them or displaying them at the same time when they are working. But if they have these scenarios in their workbooks, you can even tell them to research about them prior to the practical. Then as they come to the practical, they just do the practical, and then they write a report. So kindly buy for them those practical workbooks, such that we have a smooth and effective teaching. Then encourage them to keep consulting teachers for better understanding of their notes, and arrange remedial classes for the challenged students to make them catch up with the required performance. Otherwise, if the performance is not so good and the learner is having only E's, we may advise him to have a remedial in FPD, since we have not done the complete registration for going back to senior 3. And we still have this vacancy in senior 3 here in this school. So those are some of the way forward, and at the end we shall need more from you as we interact. I appreciate the teaching staff and the non-teaching staff who take up for academic needs and support services rendered to our students. The chaplaincy for catering for spiritual aspects. I appreciate you parents and guardians for paying school fees, for buying scholastic materials, and the quality time you provide to your children. I also appreciate the parents who come to check on the academic progress of their children. It is really good. It makes us to work together, and I know it has worked for many of us. I also appreciate the administration for providing resources, tools, and an enabling environment to our learners as far as the new lower secondary curriculum is concerned. Before I conclude, we also, in the circular and the requirement lists, wrote for you to provide your children with some ruled papers, at least a quarter a ream every term, such that these children write reports a lot. Their work is about research and report writing, and at times they need to practice. As a school, we have been trying to do so, but we are saying kindly also provide your learner with a paper such that they are not inconvenienced. When they want to do their work and the dose is not there or the office is closed, they have nowhere to write. So kindly provide them with those papers. Then at the end of the meeting, I would like to meet the parents of the following students: Katongole Matthew, Luwama Evans, NDEJJE Gina, and Kaitana Will Mary. We pledge to produce academically excellent young men and women of integrity, God-fearing, patriotic, and hardworking. No pains, no gains. Thank you, thank you.
The cable. Let's get it next.
Thank you, our dear Dean, Middle School. She has given us an in-depth of what the academic picture of our children is like, their character, the challenges, the strengths, and what we can do together to enable them achieve the very best in life. Ladies and gentlemen, I promise that I'll keep introducing colleagues as they come in, and allow me at this point in time to introduce the academic parents of your children, the class teachers. You're the biological ones. Now when they come to the academic space, we take over. So allow me to introduce the team with whom I'm working. Rest assured they are in very capable hands. God being our helper, we are destined for the greatest heights. Yes. Now before us we have teacher Ebok Sasra, a teacher of English language, and also class teacher 4G. We have Mr. Omoit Anthony, a teacher of mathematics and class teacher 4D. We have Mr. Bachaita Matia, a teacher of geography, class teacher 4E. Dear class teachers, make sure you stand and, look at all of them so that some of them have not seen you before and they're like, okay, that is the new papa for my child. Now you know them by name and face. Thank you. And then we have Mr. Semogerere Benedicto, class teacher 4C and a teacher of physics. Yes. And then yours truly, Teacher Scovia, class teacher 4B. And like I mentioned, I also happen to be the year class leader. Also allow me introduce colleagues that came in while the dean was giving her communication. We have Mrs. Wangzi Marion, teacher of fine art, and also the senior woman teacher. You're welcome. We have teacher Stella Nalusiba, a teacher of geography. You're also welcome. We have Mr. Sengo Kusasira, a teacher of biology. And allow me also make mention of Reverend Kezekia Yung, husband to our beloved deputy head teacher, Madam Yung Eunice. You're most welcome. Yes. And we also have our deputy head teacher, Sir Longojita Emmanuel. You're welcome, sir. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, allow me invite, I beg your pardon. Allow me introduce the in charge of the competence-based curriculum, Mr. Senteza John. He is also a teacher of chemistry, and he is going to give his communication right about now. You're welcome, sir.
Director of Ceremonies, the head teacher, the deputies, the chairperson PTA, the chaplain, dear parents, colleagues, teachers, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I take this opportunity to join the earlier speakers to welcome you to this meeting, which is an official requirement for the school on a particular day to interact with the parents on a class day and share in all spheres that affect the learners. We thank God for the gift of life and the general mercies that has accorded to you. When this curriculum was unveiled or introduced, we were directed as schools that each time the parents convene for any meeting, there should be a slot to sensitize them on this curriculum. Because it's new, but also still changing in many ways. And we know that the parents are co-teachers when it comes to these levels. So it's important that you keep abreast with the new developments in the curriculum and also are able to give support about what you fairly understand. As you could be aware, I request to project my presentation. As you could be aware, the competency-based curriculum focuses on competencies. That's why it's called competence, as opposed to a knowledge-based curriculum. So there are demands that may be unique to some of us as parents that come from learners. There could be behaviors exhibited by our children that arise from the exposure to the competency-based curriculum that may be unique. For example, the dean has talked about communication and assertiveness, has talked about classes being a little noisy and so on. All this could be accruing from CBC. So it's important that we appreciate deeply the outcomes of CBC. In the way of teaching, the CBC, learners are very much involved because it is learner-centered. There is a lot of discussion, and the teacher does guidance. So that discussion and interaction and openness and assertiveness will not only stop academic work. For example, some of us should be waiting for these learners to probably produce prototypes of aeroplanes because it is competency-based. Some engines because it is competency-based. That might not be the issue. But the values, the 21st century skills are some of the first indicators that we must look at when we are talking about competency-based. When results are released, it's good to look at the grades. But even before you look at the grades of your child, what changes have you seen in your child as far as those skills are concerned? Have you seen anything? Are there changes? So the assessment does not only stop here at school, but even in your homes. You can even actually assess and inform the schools. CPC is organized around well-defined set of competences or learning outcomes. And these learning outcomes are clear per topic or area of study. And it is these learning outcomes that eventually constitute the competences which are assessed in all forms of assessment. So, like Nadine said, it is full of assessment. The curriculum is full of assessment. And not assessment just as a mode of practice, but most assessment is actually to contribute to the final score. So the A's and the B's being flashed around do not come on from only the last paper they do in UNED. They will have started building on that score currently right from senior 3. But we are told probably next year right from senior 2. So the role of the parents in the CPC is even more critical than the old curriculum. Because if you don't keep encouraging and focusing this learner throughout, the learner will not excel just in senior 4. No. Because at every end of topic, there are some scores that are captured, and in all subjects, and will eventually contribute to that final score. Every term, there is a subject competence assessment that is done, and it is captured. So it's very demanding on part of the teacher, but also very demanding on part of the learner. But unfortunately, it takes long for our learners to appreciate this mode of assessment. So they take time when they are just laissez-faire. They are just enjoying the environment. Meanwhile, the poor scores are accumulating. By the time we are now in senior 4-year candidates, it is very hard to earn into the score. So there would be A's end up B and some slip into C. So ladies and gentlemen, as we preach this end, please preach that side. Let us make our learners, the moment they come to school, focus, because the curriculum is full of assessment. The competencies I earlier talked on, that you can also observe, they will not be examined on paper and in exams, including the communication, collaboration, critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, and imagination, and use of ICT. Allow me to put emphasis on creativity and use of ICT. Creativity is promoted mainly through project work, and project work is not restricted to the name project assessment. As a school currently, we are coming up with an innovation hub
Okay, they said you can say pieces that can use it in
where learners can be supported
already
to do innovation.
just when the big PC can use it in
Already we have had some innovations and it has been recognized internationally because we are able to exhibit outside the country. That was learners' work. So the top administration may talk more about it. As a school again, it's now on our calendar that we have an education fair annually. Even this term, we shall have an education fair. During which learners exhibit their innovations in different areas. We are only implementing this CBC. Creativity and imagination does not normally come out of chaos. It is precipitated by calmness of the mind. So if you have a group that is rowdy, you are likely to miss out on this. That's why we emphasize that although there is discussion and so on, but when it comes, for example, I take where learners are supposed to do personal reading and personal reflection, by the way. The learner may not be reading a book, but may be seated and reflecting on what he or she has studied. We need calmness. So it's going to be a very big indiscipline to have that loudness and noise making at that time of study, because it affects this. Use of ICT. I would like to thank parents who have supported learners by providing ICT gadgets. Thank you so much. I encourage those who haven't to find the means and also pay. The school has got facilities, sure, and is developing more. But they are not yet enough. They are not yet enough, and I think learners need them most of the time. But also at home, let us guide our learners on the use of ICT. So that is not only use them for other negative or engagements, but for learning and constructive learning. So they are not only useful here, but also at home. As a school, it will be elaborated on. At times we get challenged on the misuse of ICT gadgets. So we call upon the parents to also support us, guide your children on the use of ICT, because it can go either way. Whereas we need the ICT. But when misused, it can be a very big problem and a source of indiscipline. So make sure that as we try to guide this side, you also guide that side. We can't go with ICT, although it has its challenges. Values: peace and harmony, integrity and honesty, patriotism, positive attitude towards work, and self-control. I would like to emphasize on positive attitude towards work. That he talked about research. One of the characteristics of an S4 graduate in this curriculum is to be a lifelong learner. A lifelong learner, learning outside the normal school setting, even after school. And all we know these days, for you to survive and keep afloat, you have to be a lifelong learner. You have to adapt and adopt. You have to learn and unlearn. So this can be at preliminary level, see in the small research work they are supposed to do. But she has mentioned the element of laziness, which we should all tease out. This curriculum does not condone laziness. Learners must be able to do things on their own at certain times. That's why initially the framework was talking about normal lessons stopping at 3 and learners are left on their own. And many schools tried it, but it was so instant that it was seriously abused. But with the time, we are creating more time, more free time for them so that they can do personal study. Here, we have started with saying the moment you are in senior 4, you should have the free night to study on your own. Probably in the next years, you shall have even some free weekends. I don't want to dwell much on this about the cross-cutting issues involved in the curriculum, but they are there. I want to go to assessment lastly. Here, historically, in Uganda, our teaching is directed by assessment. I don't know which theory or philosophy that would be. That teaching is directed by assessment. And some of us, by the time we studied, the syllabi we knew were UNEB syllabi. We only learned later that actually there is another body. But we thought it was all about UNEB. So such cannot die away all of a sudden. It can't die away. So up to now, we still want to understand the assessment more for us to guide our teaching better. And as a school, we have aggressively done training of the staff on CBC in both pedagogy and assessment. Our teachers are kept abreast of any new developments. We have encouraged the teachers to get the scoring boards or marking bodies, examination bodies, so that we get to know exactly what is being done. There are 4 main assessment points in this curriculum. I hinted on some of them. The end of chapter, called the activity of integration, done any time when the learners are ready. Any time when the learners are ready. And we have come to prove that actually, in most cases, learners are ready immediately after the chapter. That's when they feel most ready. So almost every after chapter, there is assessment. So it can be done over weekend, it can be done in the evening, it can be done in the night. But like I said, and I want to that the challenge at around the senior 3, they don't appreciate that what they are doing is terminal. It will contribute to the final score. So they take them so lightly and they don't score well. Project work runs for almost 2 years, different levels, right from planning to publication. So it starts normally from term 1 of senior 3 and runs up to term 2 of senior 4. The current senior 4s have entered the phase of implementation, meaning they identify the problem in their community and therefore they were able to get a title for their research work. They were able to have a research statement for their work, and were able to write a plan that normally called project plans here. Submitted to their supervisors, who are the teachers, guided and approved. Now they are moving into implementation, starting with the mobilization of resources. The projects they do are meant to give a solution to an observed challenge or problem in the community. And it is done on individual basis. Some learners at this point start asking for materials and call parents. But unless otherwise stated by the top administration, what I know, we don't demand materials from parents on this project work. So let us not receive phone calls saying, I need this for my project, unless it is official and written through the teacher's office to the parents. Learners are guided to do projects that are cheap, that mainly use local materials. Number 3 is the subject competency or proficiency. Subject competency, normally the UNED, the examination board, gives a topic to particular subjects. They get different topics, from which the teachers are supposed to come up with assessment items at 5 levels of ascending order of demand. Ascending order of demand. The essence is, at the end of the 5 levels of assessment in that topic, the learner is very competent and has reached the level of appreciation, which is the highest, has reached the level of creation from that area. And these scores at each level are also sent to UNED. They also contribute to the final. Then lastly is the end of cycle. Now before end of cycle, in a way of preparing for end of cycle, we do end of term. What time is beginning of term on each term? And we do mocks. Now all the assessment above is structured differently from end of cycle. So all the assessment above does not give enough practice for the learner to perform well in the end of cycle. That's why schools have gone back to the end of term and even December mocks, like the dean mentioned. So ladies and gentlemen, when your children tell you that you are subjecting them to different number of mock exams, it's for the purposes of giving them trials before the final match. Because the structuring in other assessments is different. It is this assessment, end of term and mocks, that give them practice. And we know we need to do that practice. For the current senior 4, they are going to do tests starting next week to see whether they are still on track. They will not be complete papers, but they'll be subjected to the first mock, which will be a complete set with all papers required as per UNED. And that will be our first test to see how we are faring. We want to increase on the exceptional performance called an A. Currently, our mode, by last year's result, we are outstanding, which is a B, but we have more A's. And therefore, the current group is going to have even more and intensive assessment in this format for that. I want to thank you so much for your audience. May God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Senteza, best curriculum. And I want to believe that after his sharing, we all have a clearer picture of what the competence-based curriculum is like, its demands, and everything else that concerns it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my take home from his communication. I don't know about you, but at least for me, these stood out. One, as parents, we need to encourage our learners to be more focused on their academic work. He emphasized the issue of hard work right from the onset, because as the assessment happens, the scores keep accumulating. And so the good grades don't happen magically, but it's an accumulation of the results or the scores that are got along the way. And then an S4 graduate is a lifelong learner. So I don't know about us. Are we interested in learning? Are we supporting them to learn? Food for thought. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce other colleagues that joined us along the way. We have teacher Juliet Nabutundu, head of the Chinese department. We have teacher Lilian Liavala Mchidi, head of the English and Literature department. We have Mr. Olebo Calvin, head of the French department. We have Mr. Semakula Habert, a teacher of physics. We have teacher Kusasira Joseph Senfuma, a teacher of technical drawing. We have teacher Jenny Manambiru, a teacher of chemistry. We have Mr. Edkiat Dennis, head of the technical department. And any colleague I've not introduced? No. We have teacher Namanya Amos, a teacher of mathematics. We have Mrs. Obale Ibrecht Abeho, teacher of English language and literature. You're most welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, allow me to welcome the careers master, Mr. Chibirango Samuel Salongo, to give us an overview of the A-level subject combinations. You're welcome, Sebo.
Thank you, Madam MC, the Chairman PTA, the head teacher, the deputies, the chaplain, members of SLT, the teachers, our parents, and beloved students, you're most welcome. I'm Chibirango Samuel, the careers master, NDEJJE Senior Secondary School, and I work with Madam or Mrs. Sekamanya Florence in that office of the careers. Our dear parents and members, we are all aware that in the Ugandan education system that is governed by the Education Board, Senior 4 is the final year of ordinary level. preparation for advanced level, that is senior 5 and senior 6, begins during senior 4 to help learners choose the right academic path. We are all aware that wherever you go, if you are taking academic papers, you always they will start by asking the senior 4 paper. So our learners, we need to know that the level at where we are right now is a very important, is a focal level, very important level, because wherever you will go after here, even when you get a PhD, a master's, and so on, they will start by asking you your senior 4 paper. And so our senior 4 paper, being the final stage for the ordinary level, we come in to help ourselves as parents and as teachers to guide you, the learners, the senior 4 learners, as early as possible, because after this senior 4, we are supposed to transit to the A level. And the transition is guided by UNEP, as I've said. Currently, this very week, our friends who are coming senior 5 are submitting in their applications. And I think today for NDEJJE, for physical application, today is the last day. Online applications ended yesterday or the other day. But I'm very sure the admission will depend on how the students performed last year in the UNEP. So, early preparation helps the students make the informed academic and career decisions. We are supposed to start as early as possible. Right now, as we are starting the senior 4, we prepare now for our entry to senior 5. Since they are going to depend on how we are going to perform in our senior 4. Next. So the purpose of the preparation, to help the students discuss their strengths and interests. Remember that interest plus ability will lead to the career choices or career goals. We encourage the learners that as you are to take any combination, you must have the interest in what you want to become, but also the ability to do that is very important. So, we provide career awareness and direction, and that's why this office is in place, in this place of NDEJJE. We guide the students in choosing the right subject combinations. We start it now, talking about the combinations, because the way a student performs determines what combination is supposed to take. So we guide our students in choosing the right subject combinations. When we are starting our senior 1, usually we ask our learners what they want to become. And they will talk about, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a doctor, I want to do law, I want to be an accountant. And it is in this senior 4 at this point that we check them to identify their areas of interest and what they want to become. And then we guide them accordingly. Remember, the admission will depend on how the students have performed in the senior 4. So prepare the students academically for the higher demand at A level. Currently, the students are applying, or your friends are applying. you the learners who are here, the friends are applying for senior 5 admissions. And the schools have set standards of what you are supposed to have on your capacity for you to be admitted for a specific combination. So we need to prepare our learners, me, the teacher, and you, the parent, academically. It's very easy sometimes to get the combinations they want. Then we align the subject choices with the future career and university programs. We have consistently, much as they are in O-level, this is the time when we discuss with them. This is the time when we discuss with them what they are supposed to do if they are to take on a specific combination. For example, the students who are to take on engineering, we discuss with them that they are supposed to put emphasis in mathematics and in physics. To do medical, they are aware that then biology and chemistry is key. To do law, any combination can take you, but still you must have passed or performed well. In accounting, in journalism, still we guide them at this point so that our learners can be aware of what they are supposed to do to achieve what they want. Next, students must obtain at least 6 to A level. Previously, in the old curriculum, it was you must at least obtain 6 passes. These are the credits that was passes. Right now, the students must obtain at least 6 C's at O level. Remember, an A previously was a distinction 1 and a distinction 2. A B, a 3 and 4 credits. A C, a 5 and a 6. And a D is a pass 7 and a pass 8. E is an F9. So, learners should know as early as now that to acquire a combination, you need to at least have 6 C's according to your NAEP standard. But then the schools